happy, dude. I think I'm dying here, man.
Welcome to the 3B Video Deep Cut Podcast.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun.
Aw, yeah. It's that time again for another bi-weekly podcast with your hosts, Rotten Roger DeMarco and...
Welcome to my world, bitch. This is Evil.
In the back room, and it's time to place your bets, as they say, as they cut from the...
As that trailer says that wasn't in the movie, which I guess even Tarantino saw the movie and he's like, the fuck, that line wasn't in the movie?
Yeah,
This is bullshit.
Why'd you guys fucking do this to me, you sons of bitches? But we are churning along. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty of this fucking franchise.
We're near done.
And I couldn't be more excited to talk about Freddy vs. Jason, to be honest with you. There's a lot of things about it I dislike, but there's a lot of things about it I really like. And hopefully we can...
There's a lot of things to dislike now, but if we put ourselves back in 2003, we were not disappointed even in the slightest,
no.
I think.
Rose-colored glasses.
Absolutely.
I
Blood-stained glasses.
Yes, I know. I made an entire day out of this. I can remember like going to the theater, watching it, buying tickets for the next showing. In the same plaza, there was like a Borders. I bought the Freddy vs. Jason magazine and the novelization and the soundtrack, and then watched it I think 3 times opening day. So,
woo!
I mean, it was like, this is like the horror nerds Super Bowl. Like, this is as big as it gets for us at that time anyway.
Oh yeah, I bought the magazine ahead of time. I didn't have any way of transportation when the movie came out, so I had to rely on a buddy of mine who was working like really odd hours, so he was really unreliable as far as getting his ass up. But of course I was like, I'll get tickets. I had some like stashed away coin. I'll get tickets for the first show, the first day, if you are the wheelman and we go. And I just remember like the whole night before going into that day, being like, I hope I can get his ass fucking up to go see this movie. Like, let's go see this movie. Let's go see this movie. Got there. And of course I also ordered, this is the first time I ordered for multiple people the soundtrack, because I used to take drum lessons once a week in a local mall, which had a Sam Goody in it. So I'd go down there. Instead of spending, I would get money for lunch for school, but I'd never buy lunch. I would just pocket the money and just buy shit. Yeah, buy shit at Sam Goody. So I eventually got down there. I was like, I want to get the soundtrack. And I had 2 other friends that were like, I want the soundtrack too. So I was like, can I get 3 copies of the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack, please? And make sure I get the one that has the 2 faces versus instead of the just Freddy or just Jason face, because I get that rights because this is my shit.
I didn't know they released multiple covers. I had the same one you did them with the 2 faces.
They did all 3. They had more of a Jason one, more of a Freddy one, and then the combined one.
Nice. Yeah, you got to have the combined. So
yeah, like, one buddy's like, how come you get the combined? I was like, cuz this is you're in my world, bitch.
Man, yeah, this movie, more so than any film in either franchise, as far as I'm concerned, it needed that communal experience. As much as I hate people and I like watching movies in a quiet room all by myself, this movie totally benefited from that communal experience. It was like a fucking rock concert, dude. Like, people standing up and cheering for the kills and, you know, hooting and hollering for the Catherine Isabella stunt double breasts in the shower and all that stuff. And why am I blanking on her name? Odessa Monroe, the girl who is nude at the beginning of the film. Yeah, lots of cheering.
I don't know why you blank on her name. It's not like she had such character development. We had such time to get to know her and her naked body. I don't know why you would blank on her name like that. Didn't even know she had a fucking name.
Yeah, she's also the girl in Final Destination 2 riding on the back of the motorcycle who flashes them.
I'm starting to see a motif here.
Yes, yeah, she has she's pigeonholed. She's typecast.
Yeah, she had a great early aughts career and then just vanished.
To the stripper pole down the block. No, I have no idea. Although, sidebar, because I was so obsessed with her naked body, I did a weird, creepy thing that you do now because you have social media. I internet sleuthed and found her on Facebook, and she's very political, shall we say, and not the type of political that we enjoy.
Oh, she's brain damaged. That's a bummer.
There you go. So, but enough of that
unfortunate
political jargon about the breasts.
Yeah, let's transport back to 2003, back to dial-up internet, which I know we'll have to pipe in the audio for the trailer for this because it's warranted more than anything we ever done is to hear the audio of this trailer, because this in dial-up internet days, for those of you who I'm sure all of our listeners are of our age group, know what I'm talking about, but just in case there's some youngins that listen to us, back in those days, if I wanted to watch a video on the internets that was, let's say, 3 minutes long, I had to dedicate a good 6 to 8 hours of downloading. And that's not to keep it on the computer. That's just to watch it once.
Yep. Because you couldn't just fucking refresh it. You had to re-download it.
Yep, had to re-download it every time. Like if I turned the computer off, it was gone. I had to redo it again. And I downloaded this trailer no less than probably 8 times.
Watching it like an inch by an inch on your fucking Real Player or whatever.
Yes, no bigger than what your phone screen looks like today. Like that's about the size of it.
Smaller,
and
like a flip phone. Like
over and over again. And this is on top of checking Fangoria.com and getting updates on the movie, because this, like we said in the last episode, a 10-year odyssey to get this movie made. Tons of
spec scripts.
Good and shit scripts out there you could read, which, can't lie, read a couple of them, including the one about the Fredheads cult.
Mm-hmm.
Tried reading some of these scripts and downloading these trailers. Like, this is about as nerdy internet like as you could get that I ever gotten for a movie was this one.
Yeah, and I'm in the exact same boat, because it was such a big deal, you know. Like I said, I skipped school. I made an entire day for this movie, and went back multiple
August 18th,
times.
I remember the day. So.
Yep. And I went back multiple weekends in a row until it stopped being in theaters. It was one of those things. It was like, well, how many times can I see this? Because I knew with the cliffhanger style of an ending, as much as I don't like Ronnie Yu and whatever, but you know, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But like, I knew that if this made money, we were guaranteed more Freddy or more Jason. I was already of that mindset as a high schooler. I was like, well, if you don't watch it, or if you are an asshole and you use like Kazaa or LimeWire and you download it, then we're fucked. You know, we're in that age of these movies need to make money, because if you remember right, Jason X happened 2 years prior and did not do well at all.
I don't know if the movie would have done tremendously better if it hadn't gotten leaked out 2 years previously. But I mean, I was not even of the mindset that was even a thing. I had no idea the movie was out before it was actually out. Like, I knew when the trailer hit and went to go see it. I knew nothing about it being released. I don't know if I would put a whole lot in on that being affecting on Jason X, but kind of the similar boat. I was constantly getting questioned by people, well, who do you think's gonna win? Who do you think's gonna win? And being a wrestling fan, I already knew, like, motherfucker, nobody's gonna win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you can't alienate half of the audience. Like, it's gonna end very ambiguously, or they have to fight for a little bit and then turn towards a third party.
Yep.
But there will not be a clear cut winner, regardless of what they tell you. That's just to get you in the theater. I was like, it's not going to be a clear-cut winner. You can't do that.
And I believe that there was some early stuff going on where they were kind of gunning towards that. Freddy and Jason fighting until the very end, where they seem to encounter Pinhead. And there's
that's in like the Never Sleep Again and Crystal Lake Memories book. Is they would have liked them to get blown up They end up in hell. The fight continues in hell. Chains come up and separate the two. Then Pinhead emerges. And says, all right, gentlemen, what seems to be the problem here? And then that's how it ends.
Yeah, and see,
that would happen today.
Yes.
I will go ahead and say, I don't care who tries to counter me on this. I will say Freddy versus Jason set a new template that is being used today. To this day, because Freddy versus Jason worked, we got Batman versus Superman,
Yep.
Alien versus Predator,
Yep.
and then people started realizing, oh, if we add more icons into a movie, it'll do better. I.e., that's where we get the Avengers, the Justice League, the Expendables, all these things, in my opinion, are an echo of Freddy versus Jason.
That's absolutely 100% true, dude. Because this movie was a box office juggernaut. This movie changed the game. People who weren't even massive Freddy fans were watching it because they were Jason fans, or vice versa, or just horror fans in general.
The title alone would draw people in. Like, you couldn't name this thing anything but Freddy versus Jason. That alone is like, well, I gotta at least come see what this is about.
And it's very open for if you're an MMA fan, and you know that I'm an MMA fan. We refer to people who just watch it off and on as a casual. So, they don't necessarily know everybody's stats. They don't know their records. They don't know their backstories. They don't know all of this stuff. But they pick a fighter that has a hype train, and they latch on, and that's the greatest fighter of all time, and they're just called a casual. And horror kind of has that as well. And with a movie like Freddy vs. Jason, you don't need to be a Freddy fan or a Jason fan. You just want to watch. What's the big deal? You know what I mean? Like, what's the big deal? What's going on? This is a new horror movie. They're both in it. And you'll go. Same thing with the new Halloween stuff going on, when thousands upon thousands of people watch these new Halloween movies and go, but where's Josh Hartnett? What happened? They cut his head off. What happened? She fell off the mental institution and died. No.
I'd be like, sit down, Philip. We have so much to show you on this franchise that'll blow your head clean off.
Yes. So it's okay, and there's room in the sandbox for everybody. So, but this, I think, was really that turning of the tide for the casual fan, because you get enough backstory in the prologue, just enough. You don't need to know everything about Jason or everything about Freddy, because there's going to kind of be like a previously on both franchises at the beginning.
Kind of, but I really feel this is more of a Nightmare on Elm Street film featuring Jason than the other way around. But that's the battle of the studios, because if Paramount had kept the Friday franchise and acquired the Elm Street, it would have been the same thing. They would have just done a Friday film that somehow incorporated Freddy.
And here's
but
the
since
thing.
It's New Line, it's the flips.
I think from a production standpoint and from a script standpoint and everything, you have to base the primary story around the villain or the character with the most ability to have a backstory and to emote and to, you know what I mean? Like, you could have done it a way where Jason was the primary focus, but I feel like it would feel more like a straightforward slasher film just featuring Freddy. The way that they did it here, like you said, it definitely leans heavy on the Elm Street side, but that's because there's so much more lore and so much more to actually explore with the Weston Hills stuff, the Hypnosil, the town covering it up. With Jason, it's pretty cut and dried. He supposedly drowned. His mom killed everybody there. She got killed. He came back. Like, it doesn't feel as nuanced. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that. I know a lot of Friday fans I've seen and heard are like, feels kind of slighted that it's like, oh, it seems to be more leaning towards this guy than the other guy.
Right.
But speaking of Jason, this is when we got that Fangoria article back in the day of, okay, Kane is out. We don't know who's going to be Jason now. How did you handle that news? Because I was like, immediately like, I'm still gonna go see it, but I'm deflated at the moment.
Yeah, that was the old 1-2 blow for horror fans, and you know, some, again, casuals maybe, or just people who aren't sold on Kane's performance were open to somebody new, and I was very defiant.
Yeah, casuals don't give a fuck.
They
We're the
don't.
only ones that gave a fuck. We're the ones that wanted. I know you were renting the same boat. Wanted what I wanted. I wanted a Part 7 Jason versus a Part 4 Freddy.
Right, that's exactly what I wanted, and we didn't get that necessarily, but Ken Kersinger, in my opinion, still to this day, one of the worst Jasons. I'm not a big fan of him. I don't like the wardrobe. I don't like the cowl.
Yeah, you hate Jacket Jason.
I do. Jacket Jason is the worst for me, but the little tufts of hair, I don't like. The mask feels like elongated and skinny. I don't like his skin being like charcoal black. I don't know what it is. It's just
Waterlogged, I thought, looking at it.
Yeah.
But
and the
coming off
platform
of
boots.
Part 9 and 10, I was like, oh, this definitely looks more like Jason than the last couple.
Oh, God.
And even though we have to see his eye in this one, I was more fine with the eye here than the eye of Kane in Part 10.
Yeah. This is leaps and bounds better than the design for him and Jason X. I don't think it's better than his look in Jason Goes to Hell, because I love the like kind of bulbous meatball head look of Jason Goes to Hell. But
that's fine on its own, but if I'm going in a versus contest, I want the closest assimilation to a 7 or 8 Jason, and this is the closest it got to it. Again, this movie rides a super weird fine line of being very faithful and making everything count, but then shortchanging in weird avenues, like not getting Betsy Palmer for Mama Voorhees, going with somebody outside of Kane for Jason. Just little things like that. You're like, well, that's kind of strange, but it was more fan service than we were ever used to getting, which is why I think we have those rose-colored glasses about it, because like this movie did so much more than what we were used to anybody ever doing for us.
yeah, and it did kind of end up following that early 2000s trend of, well, let's cast a rapper or an R&B singer, someone large, let's put some type of a name. It's not necessarily like a big name, but I mean Destiny's Child was pretty massive
was big
at the time.
Pretty big. And no bullshit, I totally talked one of my friends into watching this movie. He's not a horror fan at all, but I totally talked him into the movie just by saying, dude, Kelly Rowland gets the shit knocked out of her up against the tree. It's like, I don't like Destiny's Child. I'll watch it.
That's a good selling point for sure.
I got him. But speaking of cast, though, I'm going to go ahead and we talked about this before about that brown panty achievement does not always go to a female. It goes to someone I just don't want to see die. And this movie has one of the most awesome characters in either franchise ever. And I would love to meet this dude one day. We are huge fans. Go see his Rampage franchise if you get a chance to, because those are fucking awesome.
They are.
Brendan fucking Fletcher.
Yes. So that's your Brown Panty Award.
He is so goddamn cool and perfect for this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And he should not die. I don't want him to see him die. You can kill Jason Ritter
Oh God, I hate Jason
anytime,
Ritter.
at any point. I would be fine with it. His facial reactions are kind of weird in places. Like, I'm not sure if he's looking sad or mad or like he's gonna laugh.
Yeah, he's fighting back a sneeze. That's kind of his, like, a nostril acting. Billy Butler calls it nostril acting, where you kind of flare the nostrils and stuff. But that's one thing that is worth bringing up, is that originally Brad Renfro was going to play that role and was cast and had already done, readings and
Screen tests and shit with Monica Keena.
who I hate, by the way. I hate Monica Keena. I'm on the Monica Keena murder train. But
I like Monica.
And so he was going to be in the film, and then tragedy struck, and he was no longer with us. So they cast, I guess, their runner-up, which was the son of John Ritter, Jason Ritter, and
tie in back to Bride of Chucky.
Yep, and it's a big misstep as far as I'm concerned. He's one of the worst characters in the movie.
Yeah, he conveys emotion weird. Like, this how his, like I just said, I like how his face looks when he's like, I saw your dad kill your mom. Like, are you about to laugh about this? Like,
yeah.
What are you trying to do here? Again, the polar opposite of Brennan Fletcher's character. He is just off the wall, silly. I love every line he has. His death is even cool. I really wish I could have got more of him. Yeah, I wish we could switch those spots.
Yeah, because he's Freddy's first victim in the movie. First and essentially only, really. Freddy doesn't,
more or less.
Freddy doesn't get to do a whole lot of damage in this film.
Which is why we have the conflict at all, because the whole plot line of this story is they're both dead. They're both in hell, which I guess that's our plot line. Both of these characters are dead and in hell. And the only way for Freddy to make a comeback is he needs to instill fear in the town of Springwood, Ohio. So he resurrects Jason, makes his ass walk from New Jersey to Ohio on foot to stir up some shit so people start talking about Freddy again. And then once he starts killing people and Freddy has the ability to start getting his powers back to do some damage himself, he's pissed because Jason's still killing all his people. So then it becomes, no, that's mine. No, that's mine. And then butting of the heads of these two horror icons.
Yep, and then they got a scrap. As far as my brown panty award goes, it's super obvious because his character is the one that you kind of like and you don't want to see anything bad happen to, but you know it's going to anyway, and that's Linderman. I always kind of had a thing for Linderman. I like that actor. I like the way...
I thought you were going to say the Jason Mewes imposter.
No, I'm not a great big fan of Freeberg. This movie has a lot of things that I'm not a massive fan of, but like as a whole, a collective, this movie is super fun. It gets thrown on a lot. It's, but I can't help it. Every time I watch it, kind of wince at some of the stuff. Like, can't do this podcast without talking about my absolute vile hatred of over exposition. And this movie, it's like, to me, sometimes it feels like it was written in crayon. Like, it's so childish in the amount of, hey, do you know this? Like, the worst thing for me is in the school. Do you know why they say that? That's because that's when he comes for you. Like, literally, like, I hate that.
I thought you were going to go with the classic, Freddy died by fire, Jason by water. How can we use that?
We use that. That's number 2 on my list of fucking bullshit lines of dialogue.
I can't say the first one because that's a Brendan Fletcher line, so it's fine. I always like his follow-up line there where he's like, coffee, make friends with it.
I just feel like the screenwriters, which why am I blanking on their names?
Shannon and Swift.
There you go. I feel like they think that the audience is full-blown retarded. Like, let's just keep explaining to them the plot of this movie. This is an hour and 31 minutes or whatever, and it flies by lickety-split. So why do we need every human character to fucking blurt out the plot line every single time we're in a new location? We're at the school, we need to know the plot line. We're on the front porch, we need to know the plot line. We're in the back of the van, we need to know the plot line. Shut the fuck up. Like,
well, I think we explained with the Halloween movie logic, there's a lot of stupid people out there, so maybe that is a necessity. But this also had, I think, initially like a 2-hour and 20-minute runtime.
Give it.
Like when they were doing the initial script reading, and they decided to cut that down to 90 minutes, which I'm like,
yeah.
Today it would be that. Like, we had a 3-hour Avengers film. Like, we could totally get a 3-hour Freddy vs. Jason cut. Give me that.
For sure.
That's what I wish it would have been that.
Yeah, I will take that as well. But yeah, that's really my main gripe is the overuse of exposition in this film. But other than that, it's a very like straightforward, silly, fun popcorn movie. Where we got Catherine Isabella, who went on to become a scream queen in her own right. Monica Keena, as much as I dislike her, did have sort of a brief stint as a scream queen for a few years. She was in the Night of the Demons remake, which is phenomenal.
See, I knew her as the bitchy character from Dawson's Creek before this came out, and she actually died in the series by like drowning, falling over like drunk on a balcony, like on a dock, and then she was haunting a character as a ghost for a little bit. Like it was like not a real ghost, but it was just the psyche of the girl she was hanging out with was like fucking with her. From what I remember, it could have been another. I think it was actually another character, but they were totally dreaming that she was still alive and like haunting her, but wasn't there. So I was like, I know her. She was the bitch from Dawson's Creek. And I absolutely, she really won me over in like the bonus features on the 2-disc DVD because she talks about being just traumatized by Fred Krueger as a kid. Right. And she has an excellent scream. Like she has a really good blood curdling kind of scream on camera, so I was like, I like her. See, the only thing that's off-putting to me about her is that fucking tattoo.
Yeah, because to be fair, my wife had a tattoo in high school when she was 17, so that's...
I did too, I guess, but I guess for whatever reason, it just kills my belief that she's a high school kid.
Yeah, well, none of them look like high school kids except for Linderman to me, but...
yeah.
I don't know where I was going. I had something.
Was that Everclear kicking your ass?
Yeah, it's kicking my ass. No, what it is it might not necessarily be Monica Keena that is my problem. I think, and I've said this before, my big problem with this film is allowing Ronnie Yu to direct this film. In my opinion,
I have no idea why they got him.
In my opinion, ruined the Child's Play franchise. Even though I'm not a massive Chucky fan, 3 is top tier. Like, Evil and I both are 1, 2, 3 kind of guys. And sparingly. But I just feel like when he took over and did Bride of Chucky, the tone of everything changed, and it makes me angry. And he had never seen a Child's Play film. And same thing with this. He had never really seen an Elm Street or a Friday the 13th film, and they let him take the helm. And I think, as a director, he's obviously not the director of photography, but his input is the final say. So some of the way that these scenes are put together, or the direction that he's giving people, just the way, the overall vibe, tone of this film is a little bit of a mishap for me. Although, as a whole ride, it's fun, but you can't help but stop and go, why was that choice made? Why was that choice made? But we still got Freddy versus Jason, so you take what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Yeah, that falls under that category of we have so much stuff that's faithful to fan loyalty, and then you have some stuff like hiring a non-fan to run the show. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, that was an odd choice, but I mean, this was still like the tide was turning on fan input, on being able to have a voice, maybe too much of a voice, in what direction a movie was going to take with what they do in it. But I will give, I don't know whose idea it was. If it was Ronnie Yu's, probably Bob Shea's, because it feels like a Bob Shea idea. But I totally dug the promoting of this movie with the Vegas weigh-in.
That had to be Bob Shea, dude. That screams, it oozes, drips sleazy Bob Shea marketing. But it's wonderful. It's one of the funnest things as a bonus feature.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, it is on the 2-disc bonus feature. I'm sure it's on the Blu-rays, but they did a Las Vegas boxing fight night weigh-in with Freddy vs. Jason in character, doing official weigh-ins, face-off, and then a little bit of trash talking on the microphone, which is great because Jason doesn't fucking talk.
Yep. Yeah, Mama's boy here. He's big, he's slow, and he ain't got no style.
Can't speak for yourself, hockey puck.
That drives me nuts, though, because the way Ken Kersinger grabs his machete, he grabs it by the blade. That annoys me. It annoys me to no end. Like, never in the history of ever would Jason, like, grab his machete by his blade and, like, lunge at somebody. I don't know. I'm just nitpicking. I'm fucking nitpicking things that have nothing to do with the movie.
It's nitpicking. I imagine it was just probably just tits ahoy for Ken there to just be in that environment doing that thing. Like, this is crazy. I'm doing this. Like, It had to be just off the charts wild. And he is a big fucking dude. And I know that was one of the reasons they decided to go with him. I know some of the story is, I played Jason before, but I know there were talks. I don't know if it was, I think probably Ronnie Yu really wanted a mountain of a man versus a little scrawny little dude with, which I've not met Robert Englund or seen him in person, but I know he's a relatively small guy.
He's like 5'7".
We have met Ken, and Ken is a mountain of a man.
For sure. And another thing, I will give Ronnie Yu some credit because he wanted Jason to be Frankenstein-esque.
Yeah.
That's like the big thing in all the special features. Like, hey, Frankenstein-esque
and a crazed samurai.
Mm-hmm. And so it really shows when you look at like him walking through the woods at the beginning, that like just super slow lumbering. Yeah. And the jacket must be a Frankenstein thing. Like, that must be a Frankenstein design point, because Frankenstein always wore like a fucking suit kind of thing.
Kind of. It also hides more of a shit you don't want to be seen, i.e., where the sleeve ends on Jason in part 8 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cover more of them up. It's less you have to worry about.
Yeah, it's less makeup, essentially.
And easier to cover up shit when things start getting messy, because I don't know how this movie did not get the ranking for highest blood, like, by gallon for a long time, because, man, is there so much blood when these two start fighting it out in the real world. It's
Kill Bill levels of blood, like The Bride versus the Crazy 88. And the only thing that saved Kill Bill from getting an NC-17 or an X was the fact that they turned that scene black and white, because there's so much blood. But in Freddy vs. Jason, most of the blood that comes out of Freddy and Jason is kind of like a darker, not quite realistic color. But boy, howdy, is there a lot of it. It's almost black, like Evil Dead 2 levels at certain points.
Like, definitely Jason's blood, like when Freddy knocks the rebar off the top rung of the construction site.
Hey,
and you see the rebar get
up here. Straight New York accent for no reason.
Yeah, you get that rebar through Jason's like chest and his knee. Like, it looks like black blood just spurting out periodically. Like, it's not constant. That's the thing that makes it like a fun house kind of thing. Is It's like squirt.
Man, the torpedoes. And another thing that I constantly kind of have to defend when it comes to this movie is, people saying, well, why? Because there's a scene when Freddy and Jason are fighting in a dream. And Freddy kind of figures out that Jason backs up when it comes to water. So Freddy makes Jason surrounded by water, and it turns him into a little child, and he's laying there whimpering and stuff. And you and I have had this conversation before, because people always go, well, why is Jason afraid of water? And it's like, it's not necessarily that he's afraid, it's subconscious, because in Jason Takes Manhattan, he walks on the bottom of the ocean because he is a mindless, well, not a mindless killing machine, but he's on a mission, and he knows that he can't be harmed, he can't be hurt, he cannot die.
He's in the to go deep, he's in the real world, and this is all shit that's in his deep buried subconscious, which is why you go to a therapist to explain your dreams, like what's your body and your mind telling you that you don't really know yet, kind of thing.
Exactly. And so for everybody out there who gets in a hubbub about that, it's Jason is not really afraid of water. It's just
His inner child is afraid of drowning.
Yes, there you go. And that's plain and fucking simple. That's as deep as this script gets. Because it's just, how can we get two monsters in the same place at the same time, duking it out? And
just read those different scripts, man. If you have issues with how they got them together here, like, just read some of the other ones of how bug nuts crazy some shit was going, where they were spending way more time than they needed to trying to get these two together. Like that script I was talking about, like there's literally one of them is a cult of Freddy fanatics called Fredheads that somehow resurrect Jason by throwing a heart into a lake kind of thing. I know there was and even when they got to the script they actually ended up with, there were initial scenes of like courtroom shit and being on trial, and I was like, wow, like it went everywhere. Yeah. Things went every which way but loose in this 10-year time frame of getting this movie made.
Yeah, because everybody who's everybody took a crack at the script from
including Robert Englund.
Yeah, Peter Jackson, Robert Englund. I believe Tarantino did do a draft or was in talks to do a draft. Just pretty much everybody.
Quit teasing me with that shit.
That would be amazing. Tarantino doing a straightforward horror film.
Yes, because we got that rumor of it with this movie, and then the rumor of it with Halloween 6 that he was potentially writing one back then. It's like, quit teasing me with this fucking shit. Give me a Tarantino horror movie, goddammit.
Yeah, and then we'd have to deal with a bunch of fans going fucking bananas, like with the Rob Zombie stuff. The fan base is, rabid. They're like, oh, they either fucking love it or they hate it, and no
one loves anything anymore. This is 2021. Right. Everyone hates everything. So just expect everyone to hate it and move on.
So yeah, then if Tarantino was to do a horror movie, people would be like, oh, he's going to have his cool hip dialogue and he's going to have the N-word and this and that. Yes, because that's how Tarantino writes, and let him do it. But either way.
If it wasn't, we would hire Mick G, so fuck off.
Yes. But dude, let me say, as far as a movie promising to deliver, a lot of movies set you up with a trailer and give you the warm fuzzies, and then they don't deliver on the night. You leave and you go, well, I saw that, and you're a little let down. As far as Freddy versus Jason goes, walking out of I'm getting goosebumps right now. Walking out of the theater after that experience, despite silly dialogue or silly exposition, whatever, the monsters fighting 100% delivered. And rather than just give us one, they had to have one where Freddy has home field advantage. They had to have one where Jason technically has home field advantage. So we got a couple of really good lengthy fights too, not just like, oh, they're gonna swing at each other for 20 seconds and it's over.
Yeah, not close-ups of just sharp shit into other sharp shit like a Transformers movie. We got to actually see what the fuck was going on in the fights.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I'm looking at you, AVP. I'm looking at you.
And it wasn't a Mike Tyson fight. You know what I mean? It wasn't all this build up and over, which is what I kind of expected.
They had great moments of peace. Like I love when Freddy is doing his straight up kind of MMA shit where he jumps up the back of Jason and kicks like his knee, or the back of his heel into his gut. And it kills me every time. It's probably my favorite part of the fights is when at the end when Jason throws Freddy halfway out the window in the cabin and then runs him down through all the other windows like a bar tab. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, and again,
that gets me every time. I fucking love it. And you get the classic Freddy yell the whole time too. I'm like, that shit, I love it.
Well, and it really appeals. Obviously, you and I have not necessarily matured much from our high school years, but I'd like to think
whatever. I've got a house now. I'm mature.
Yeah, right. Filled with a bunch of toys.
Decorated it with toys and shit.
But it really did appeal to our teenage sensibilities of right from the first 30 seconds. Here's some nudity. Here's here's a little bit of backstory. Here's some characters getting bumped off, but here's the main fights feel so big. They feel so like a
Epic.
like a WrestleMania. It feels like you waited so long for WrestleMania. You know, like it's
Hogan versus Andre. It's Rock and Hogan. It's Austin and McMahon.
Yeah, where you have like goosebumps and you're sweating and you can't sit still, like. And that's the one thing about this movie, still to this day for me. I'll throw it on as background noise or whatever, and I'm kind of in and out, you know, because it's one of those so common in my house films that I don't necessarily need to pay attention. But the second the two of them are face to face, I remember the cheering. Probably the only time I remember the cheering during the movie. When I watched it, because I only saw it 3 times, twice in the theater and once at the drive-in, which was awesome. Oh man!
But the first and second time in the theater, when Jason flips that fucking table in the flaming cabin, that's when people were like, "Ah, yeah!"
When the fucking guitar comes in,
yes,
so good, and the look on Freddy's face. You know, I mean, we really could spend a couple of hours talking about this movie. I've hit on.
I look forward and dread the day we get to this in a live stream. I don't even know if 2 hours and change is enough time.
I've pretty much hit everything that was on the top of my list to talk about, which is no secret. Anyone who's listened to us for any lengthy period of time has heard me say, I don't like Ronnie Yu. I don't like Ken Kersinger. But that does not detract from the inner child, the amount of fun I have with this movie on a regular basis. I never put it on and go, why am I watching this? You know what I mean? Like I put it on and I go, yep, this is it's just as fun. Stupid for, you know, a lot of the stuff happening, but fun. Really, really fun.
And was very successful in its box office. I think it was 40-something million to make it, and it made like 80-something million, so doubled the profits. Mm-hmm. And the weirdest part is, like I said, I think it spawned the whole new wave of filmmaking that followed with multiple icons in movies.
Yeah,
but we never got a follow-up to this. We had a comic book follow-up with Ash, which I know was something that was talked about from Jump Street for the sequel. Like, well, we got to put Ash in here next. And then the failed thing I've heard about, which even gets referenced in the Halloween 25 Years of Terror doc of Dimension Pictures, going like, well, damn, we need to jump on this. Who do we got? We got Michael and Pinhead. We should do a versus between them. And they're like, we don't need to do that. I'm like, bullshit. Yes, you do, because I want to see that.
Yes. Take my money. Take it now. Chucky versus Leprechaun. Whatever you got to do.
Yes, we oddly have never had, outside of AVP, we've not had any more slasher icons in group movies still.
Yeah.
Which is weird. 2003, 2021, we've not had one since.
And you know, it seemed like we might have been heading in that direction when Platinum Dunes put out the Elm Street remake and the Friday remake, or, you know, reboot, continuation, whatever you want to call those. There was a very brief period of time where my hopes got up again. You know, really, really hyped. Like,
I love the fan posters. You seen the fan posters where someone does Freddy vs. Jason 2, and it's 09 Jason and 2010 Freddy.
I think I have seen that.
Those are awesome. Horrible, but awesome.
Right. You know, just, we're ready. The horror community, you see it all the time, like all these older movies getting these remakes. It came out again, and it is massively successful. So much so that they're even talking about making a third It that's completely original because they don't have any more source material. You know, like that's the world we live in. We're fucking starved for these icons. We got the new Halloween stuff.
We got 9 Fast and the Furious movies about stealing cars and stealing DVD players off cars. Why the fuck can't we get more of this for us?
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, we've got the new Hellraiser on the horizon.
New Texas Chainsaw on the horizon, which I know that's not facing much
hope. Positivity, hope.
Like, it's already kind of, from what I've read and seen, doomed to fail whenever it premieres on Netflix, I believe. So
because it's a direct sequel to the original again, and we've done that. We just did that with Texas Chainsaw 3D. However, absolutely fucking silly that movie is, even though that movie really grew on me and I have a lot of fun with it. Boy, it's dumb though. But
but we like dumb.
I do really like dumb. And so I don't know, man. You know, we had Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, blah, 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 blah.
Then we had Leatherface, the other beginning.
Yeah, and they're okay.
You see him slowly turning into Halloween.
Yeah, we just keep retconning shit.
Yes.
But that's what we're saying. You know, we've got the new Hellraiser coming out. And actually, Hellraiser Judgment, which is a few years back, where they didn't use Doug Bradley. They used some other fella, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He was amazing. That movie...
Really? He looked like Derek Mears a little bit to me.
It's disgusting. It feels like a Silent Hill movie featuring Pinhead. But that bullshit one that Dimension Extreme put out, Hellraiser Judgment or whatever.
I might be thinking of that one.
That's the found footage one.
Oh, shit.
That's terrible. Whatever it was called. I don't even know. I don't even own that one.
There's a found footage Hellraiser movie?
Yeah.
I don't even know how many of those there are.
I'll send you a trailer for it. But yeah, it's not good. But no, Judgment, I think, was the newest one. And that's the one that feels very Silent Hill-esque. And I really liked it. It's like a detective story with Cenobites. But
probably one of those, just like 90% of the sequels are spec scripts, or like just throw some Cenobites in there and make it a Hellraiser movie, and bam, we got it, we're done.
Yeah, well, and you know, but it does feel very Hellraiser, but on a new, like, kind of grimy, gross, more gross, I feel, than old school Hellraiser stuff, to be honest. But I think, you know, we're ready for that. We're ready for some of these icons who haven't had a moment in the sun to get a big movie. You're not, you know, you cannot tell me if you took Leprechaun from the new Leprechaun Returns and you put him in something with Pinhead, we would roll our fucking eyes like slot machines, but we would be like, I'm buying that day one if it's direct to video, or I'm going to rent that or go see that in theaters. Like, it would have to make its money back. You let a guy like the directed Psycho Gorman, Steve Kostansky, because he made the Leprechaun Returns movie, and it's amazing. Let him, a young kid with crazy ideas with stop motion and green screens and, you know, all this madness, big monsters, and let him helm one of these Versus movies and watch the world of horror fans geek the fuck out.
I'm all for that as well. I can't think of a Versus one I could come up with off the top of my head, but just in what we were just talking about with TCM, I totally could think of one for that. Like I know recently a big thing recently is starting to put horror icons into games officially, which Terrordrome is the non-official real horrors of icons of horror versus each other Mortal Kombat style game that you can get out there, which is awesome just to watch game footage of that, because there's so much love put into those illegal games.
Yeah, the character models, the stages, all great.
But the big thing they started doing is putting some of these characters in other games, like the Dead by Daylight, famously putting a bunch of horror icons in, putting a bunch in Mortal Kombat. And I think one recently was a Call of Duty putting in Leatherface. And I thought, when I first saw that, I was like, I don't know about a game, but I would love to kind of see that as a movie, like really kind of like Mad Max style, like not a real story to it, like just do a 90-minute siege movie of a SWAT team or a high-end military group trying to infiltrate and take over, you know, the Sawyer house.
Yes. And
you get that conflict of the high-end tactical planned out shit versus these, you know, grassroots backwoods hillbillies, like, and just see the difference in how they combat. Like, that'd be a hell of a Texas Chainsaw movie just to see. But yeah, I'm ready for more. We just got a new Candyman, which is a good, really good sequel / reboot of sorts. So yeah, I think we're ready, and give us the Avengers of horror, really. I'm tired. I don't want any more of we had the Avengers of Horror, but they're not playing who we know them for playing. They're
We're
playing
looking at
other
you,
people.
Death House, you terrible pile of shit.
Yeah, that stuff. I'm like, no, give me Jason, Freddy, Michael. Put them all in something.
Mm-hmm.
Give me that, and it will easily make $100 million, even if it's the worst thing you've ever seen, because people will not be able to not watch it, including me several times. And I've already bought the Blu-ray 3D, holy shit, 4K edition, and it's not even made yet, and I don't even own a 4K, but I've already got my money saved for it.
Yep, no shit. But yeah, so as far as final thoughts go, I mean, Freddy versus Jason, you nailed it. You hit the nail on the head with it being the game changer, the precedent for putting multiple icons in a film. You cannot tell me any different that people did not see this business model and exploit this business model. But
I remember news articles like immediately after the movie. First thing they were talking about was AVP and Batman vs Superman. So it was already there in 2003. People talking about like, all right, this was successful. Let's do it.
Yep. And this is just a fun ride. To me, a lot of the stuff hasn't necessarily aged well, but I find myself watching it all the time. I find myself feeling like a high school kid. It oddly
ages better than the 2010 Nightmare remake.
Oh, it sure does. It really does. But I think it's because so much of the real Freddy tone is there. Because, it's pulling from a place of love. Even though, Ronnie, you hadn't seen those films, Robert Englund was pulling from his previous portrayals as Freddy Krueger. So
I fucking love his shadow on the street scene. That looks awesome.
Yes.
It may not have worked great. Like that shadow of CG still looks better than the CG of him coming out of the fucking wall in the remake.
For sure.
And
well,
man,
it's a shadow. It's smoke. So
that bed folding in half kill, that was the first big like tone setting kill of this movie. And that was the other thing I remember people not quite cheering, but you could hear like, oh, when that happened. And it still kind of does that when you watch it.
Yep. Real good.
Man, that dude deserved to die so much. Like, as soon as that dude popped on the screen, like, oh, never has anyone had the dead meat more tattooed across his head than that guy.
Listen,
in either franchise ever.
If you get to put your penis in Catherine Isabella, you be nice. You be nice. That's all I gotta say.
Don't touch me after.
Smell like menthols.
I only smoke when I drink now, but you're always drinking. I'll work on that next.
Yep. What do you see in him? I don't know, but he has a cute butt. Good lord.
Him and fucking Blake, two complete dipshits.
Yeah, won't you go?
I did like that hot second though, right before Blake realizes his dad is dead, that he like looks where the direction his dad's head is looking, like trying to see what he sees.
Yep.
Like it's a super like half a second scene, but I love that. I love that.
That dude is the master of not having many lines of dialogue, but extremely overacting. My best friend was just killed, Dad. Like, oh my god.
Somebody said something about Freddy. I'll kill him myself, Trey. Yeah. I swear to God. A teenager with a flask. Wow. I don't know anyone that has a flask even at my age now. So I think that may have been the last use of a flask in a movie by anyone.
I got some buddies. Our good buddy Tony Tulips definitely had a flask in high school. But I think that's just because he's a quasi-functioning
you think that shit's
alcoholic.
Grown up then. Like everyone saw Gary Busey have that shit in a Silver Bullet, and like, well, this is how adults drink, so I'm gonna do that shit. And then when you're an adult, you're like, I am not drinking the piss warm alcohol in this metal container in my back pocket that's been there all day.
I keep my fruit punch Kool-Aid in my flask. So I need a quick pick.
What do you got in yours? Milk.
Oh.
It was a bad choice.
Yeah. It's just fucking sun beating on it. It's just fucking cottage cheese. Oh.
Yeah, I got me a flask of cheese that just comes out like toothpaste.
Don't. Do not.
Oh. I had a spewage. Had spewage.
Sour milk is my fucking kryptonite. And I don't.
Well, speaking of spewage, foul things, maybe it's time then we talk about a few Amazon 1-star reviews.
Hated it.
Oh my goodness. Surprise, surprise. 1 stars for Freddy vs. Jason were fairly plentiful, but I decided not to go too bonkers with it. We decided I just grabbed a small handful. So first up, we got Eric T on July 26, 2019.
T.
ET says, 1 star. We need Hollywood to come up with something original. Seriously.
That's it?
That's it.
Well, you know.
Well, he has that emoji of the face doing the chin scratching thing there, but I don't know how to convey that in an audio form.
That's pretentious. Seriously? Fucking dildo. Get out of here.
Next on up, we have Christian Little. I hate this spelling, too, for Christian. Kristian. Christian Little. On August 13th, 2019. 1 star, horrible quality bootleg film.
Well, don't bootleg. You got that off LimeWire.
Yeah, along now with your computer has herps. Next up, we got the returning ever faithful Rondell Dale Branch.
All right.
I'm not sure how to take this. I would see this as a 1 star, but I'll just read it. On January 9, 2018, he says 1 star, 1 star. Received 2 copies of bonus features. Never got the movie.
Well, that's a good day.
Imagine all this hype material and then you can't actually watch the movie.
Well, at least
I got the way in.
You get well versed in all the behind the scenes.
I've got that really long, weird feature of the slashing camp, summer camp thing, which I really said I have no idea what the hell that all was. Was that just like a crew-like thing? You remember watching that on the bonus features? You don't know about? It's on those bonus features, and it's a legit summer camp video of someone filming them at a summer camp, like a bunch of adults like doing crafts, and like they were gonna do a wet t-shirt contest, and a dude just pulled his pants down. They blurred out his dick, but he's like just flapping around his dick. And they do and the wrap up with they're doing an outdoor screening of the movie, and right when the movie's gonna start is when the feature ends. It's just a weird, I'm like, who are these people?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that at all. Must have only watched it once and said, well, I don't need to watch that. You know,
break out that DVD, dust it off, and watch that bit again. Let me know what you think.
I tend to watch the DVD a little bit more than I watch my Blu-ray because my DVD has a full frame function, and if you watch Freddy vs. Jason in full frame, they were completely anticipating it being widescreen. So, like when Freddy's hand comes out of the magazine and rips off Kelly Rowland's nose, the effect isn't finished. It only goes, there's like 2 inches of the screen where the glove is just not finished. So I like to watch it in full frame because you see all this bullshit they were trying to hide with the widescreen bars. One, here I'm going to sound like a super fucking pervert, is the beginning when Odessa Monroe comes out of the water and she's on that little ladder. You watch it in full screen. She has like a something with tape. It looks like tape and almost like a fucking diaper covering her crotch.
She get quiglied?
Yeah, it's like but it's clear as day. You see the tape and you see like white. Like they didn't try to color match her or anything. But yeah, so it's like a thing covering up her hoo-ha. And I remember like commenting on that when I was in high school. And someone being like, man, you had to have been looking real hard. And I'm like, I wasn't. I'm not trying to be a pervert. She just is clearly wearing something right there.
It's a 20-foot screen. It's right there in my fucking face.
Yeah, I can't help it. But anyway, on with the chlorophyll. Evil.
It's like a 3-foot vagina in front of me, man. How are you not looking at it? That's the better question. How are you the one not looking at it? You looking at the dudes instead?
What? Maybe I am. All right.
Next up, we got Mark on July 16th, 2004. He says, 1 star, stupid mess. I've never seen the attraction of the Jason and Freddy movies to begin with, but my wife wanted to watch this thing for some reason, and boy, it stunk worse than Marilyn Manson's commode.
Okay. Does Marilyn Manson take wicked shits?
I have no idea what Manson's dietary lifestyle was like in 04, but I would really like someone to tell me, perhaps the makers of this dog, what the point is in having two things that can't die fight each other. On and on the fighting goes, and no matter how brutal and deadly the ending of the fights appear to be, they both get up and live to fight again another day. Pointless with a capital P.
I'll tell you.
But
oh, go ahead.
On and on the fighting goes. Like Joan Rivers' career, the fighting, no matter how inane, just keeps on going.
Good Lord.
Let's hope both of these overused moronic monsters kill each other off screen somehow, and we never have to see anything from either of them again.
Wow. I will tell you how this movie gets made, because money. You know?
Money, but I got to give Mark total props and bonus points. When you can squeeze in Marilyn Manson's toilet and Joan Rivers into your rant about Freddy versus Jason, you're a pretty good linguist there.
Yeah.
You're a magician with your words.
Good job, sir. But all right. Yeah, what's next?
Next up, this is from Alpha Weapon 47 on September 1st, 2004. He says 1 star. Question mark, 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 question mark. Let me start by saying I'm a fan of the Jason series and the Freddy series. And I find that this to be a true trying to stay familiar with failure in the horror series. It's pure stupidity wrapped up in a DVD that is pure crap. I'm giving it 2 stars only because it did give me some small bits of enjoyment, and it was better than the monstrosity of pure stupidity they call Jason X. But watch Freddy and Jason fight for yourself. You might like it. It's okay, but the original of both files is way better. I mean, way better. I'm just like, of all the shit he misspells and fucks up, he spells I guess it's more. Okay, I thought he spelled monstrosity right. It's actually, if I pronounce it how he spells it, monstrosity.
There you go. I like streusel.
I corrected it for him. Monstrosity. That sounds like some shit Ultimate Warrior would say.
I think
monstrosity.
I think he's just mad that he wasn't in the movie because he's the alpha weapon.
I like that he gave it 2 stars, but he ended up in his review, but he gave it 1 star in the official rating. And yeah, watch WATCH, and series is constantly spelled SCRIS. Sirs, wrapped with only 1 P. Stupidity. Stupid IDIDY. Alpha Weapon.
Alpha Weapon. All right.
Alpha Weapon.
You got one more?
Actually, I have 2 more.
All
this
right.
one I'm going to have to back up a little bit because, again, all in caps from old Stephen Williams on January 29, 2004. 1 star. Nothing but laughter. How can anyone watch this horrible movie? This was such a stupid movie. Usually when they take my girlfriend to see a scary movie, she spends most of the time holding on to me, but this time we were laughing our asses off at the supposed to-be scary movie. It was more like a comedy show and had no plot whatsoever. If you want to see something ridiculous or funny, buy or rent this movie. But if you want to see something scary, go rent Halloween or something like that, because this movie is nothing but a joke to me.
Well, he's just mad that he wasn't getting loved on by his old lady.
I took her to a horror movie and she's laughing. Like, this is not going to get me anywhere.
Not going to get no play tonight, baby. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. Just, tickle her on the way home or something. I don't know.
So last one is an Amazon customer. So I guess Rondell Del Branch decided he didn't have enough to say, so he came back again to tell us more. A year previously, on September 14th, 2003. So this is hot off the presses after this movie came out. Not even a month after this movie came out. Rondell has to get onto the Zon and tell us 1 star. Ketchup, anyone?
Okay.
Yes. I really did not like this movie. The truth is that it really did not have a point. I guess someone might like a movie where nothing gets resolved and the ending is inconclusive, but not me. You should only go see this movie if you want to see people get killed.
Well, yeah, that's what the butts are in the seats for.
There is no other reason to see this movie. Pirates of the Caribbean is a much better and actually scarier. Don't waste your time or money on this piece of trash.
Trash.
Trash. You trash.
Wow, I can't, a month after the release.
A month after it, and I like the title of Ketchup, anyone, because, yeah, blood aplenty in this movie. So that is our conclusion of the Amazon Uno Star reviews.
Yes. Well, now that we're done with that segment, that can only mean one thing, Evil. What does that mean?
I guess it's time we play the game.
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game.
It's all about the game, and you play it, and I can't come back if no one remembers me.
Perfection. For those of you who are new to the podcast, welcome, and this is the Deep Cut Podcast. So how we do this is every episode at the end, we do a little game called the prop game, where you have to pick a prop from the film, but it cannot be a prop that is blatantly obvious. So do not say Jason's mask, Freddy's glove, Monica Keena's tits, whatever. It has to be something that is a deep cut. You're the last in line, you've worked on the film, you get to go through the warehouse and take something from the film. So it's not going to be something necessarily...
I mean, if you took Monica Keena's tits, that is a literal deep cut.
Wow. Yes, it is. To get those silicone fun bags, hobbity. But so you got to pick something from the film that's sort of an oddball choice. And let us know if you're a Patreon in the comments what you would pick, or just find us everywhere, anywhere on the internet on our Buddies Forever Discord or our YouTube channel 3B Video, and let us know what you would pick from this film. But Evil, it's been a hot minute. I'm going to let you go first today.
You know, you would think, being with such anticipation, I would have a litany of things I would want to take from this movie, but outside of, obvious shit, trying to actually go by our own rules of deep cuts, I really just kept coming back to the most inane of things, and it's like one of the cable wires that are in the boiler room.
Okay.
/ grain silo in the dream sequences, and I take that one of those cables just because it was in the trailer. It's in one of your first shots with Freddy, so I'll have that piece, and I'll think it's inane enough that it won't take up a lot of room. It'll be a conversational piece, and I'll see that and immediately think of the hours and hours I spent downloading that goddamn trailer and watching it over and over again, and seeing Jason and Freddy on the screen for the first time in a long time, and seeing him fight Jason. I just think of one of those cables hanging in the silo / boiler room. I almost went with one of the locker doors on one of the lockers, but nice. I was like, give me part of one of those cables instead. So mine's a super bizarre one this week for sure.
Very nice. Well, I'm kind of in the same boat because, like you said, there's a ton of things. Wardrobe tends to be one of the things we lean towards, is wardrobe. Some sort of random piece that some character wears, or
you want the van, don't you?
No, mine is actually a piece of furniture, and I am going to take the table from the cabin that Jason gets his machete stuck in.
Oh,
I like that. Because then that could be a centerpiece, not only in my movie room, I could put that in my kitchen or my dining room, and forever have dinner on that table.
Is the machete still stuck in it?
I would not have the machete in it, but I would, obviously not fix the hole. So
I would put a dulled down machete blade in it, so it's like it's never gonna hurt you, but I can't not have one in it.
Right. There was a couple other items that I had thought about. One being the flag that Linderman uses.
I just think of the movie The Patriot when that slow motion scene happens.
Yep.
He's fucking charging with that flag. I'm like, he should just be Mel Gibson.
Yeah, there's plenty of unique props in this movie, and I'm honestly surprised neither of us picked a bottle of Hypnosil. I don't know if we would consider that a deep cut or if that's too low hanging of fruit for us, but
I don't think it's too low hanging. I think it would have been fine.
Right.
Man, that just ties me back to so many other just like fucking lines in this movie. Like, no, we need those pills,
dude.
Kia, he has asthma.
Yep.
That goalie was pissed about something.
Can you just get asthma? Not a Freddy versus Jason quote, but still a good asthma quote from Deep Rising, damn it. But we've pretty much covered everything. We did our Brown Panty Awards. We've picked our props. So that can only mean that we are at the tail end of the episode. So next week, Evil, you want to not next week, 2 weeks from now, you want to let the good folks out there know what we'll be covering.
Well, we are, like I said, we're at the tail end of the Friday franchise. We, as of this moment in time, lawsuit still, hanging as a dark cloud over the franchise. We have one movie left. And then we're going to do an episode talking about the game as a follow-up episode to that. But the last movie in the franchise official, as of this moment in time, we're going to be talking about Friday the 13th, 2009, the remake reboot that actually made money and did fairly well and is a pretty damn good movie. And just like this movie, had no sequels to follow up on it. It just kind of lay dormant.
Came and went. And then we're going to spend 14 years covering every lackluster bullshit Jason fan film out there on the planet. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. Although one episode devoted to multiple fan films might not be out of the realm of possibility down the road at some point, but
we spent a long time in the Friday series. We've gone through official seasons talking this franchise. It was nice and boiling hot when we started talking this franchise, and it's getting into sub-zero temperatures as we speak now. So times have definitely flown by on this series, and it's been a fun one, but we're not quite done yet. I can taste the lake water now. It's almost done. Yeah,
so another month-ish, and we will be done covering this franchise, and then we will move on. But on that note, I suppose we should probably get going, because after all, there's a lot of movies out there, and somebody's got to watch them. So why not us, right?
I can't come back if nobody remembers. I can't come back if nobody's afraid.